His first broadcast victory at the tricky Interlagos and announced himself as the championship contender, while the GTOs continue their tight battle. Tonight, the tight battles of the season goes to the tight streets of Long Beach, but who will be able to tame the streets? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 8 of the Camel GT series, and you will see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Craig King, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Long Beach was first introduced to the GTOs back in 1990, but not the GTPs. It would take 30 years for those GTPs to have their time here, as historic IMSA brought those cars back to this track full of history. So let's look at our track guide for more information.
Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead.
Well, we saw the modern-day GTPs in that little track guide, but these are the old ones. Adam, what are these cars going to be expecting tonight?
Well, Long Beach has long been the site of epic camel moments, even back when it was simply a development track here in iRacing. This 1.97 mile, 3.17 kilometer, 11-turn clockwise circuit is most comfortable for the Audis, believe it or not. The GTOs will find themselves right at home here with the tight confines and many slow to medium speed 90-degree turns, with their only struggle spots being turn 10 to the end of the lap, with the hairpin being a real challenge for the limited steering lock available in the four-wheel drive machine. The Nissans, on the other hand, will feel a little constrained here, even with the 2 long straights to stretch their legs. They will sit at about 30 to 50% throttle most of the lap through the corners, eking out just as much throttle as the tires will bear over the many bumps and challenging turns on the coast of California. Multiclass here, quite frankly, shouldn't exist, but it does, and the danger zones are anywhere where the track isn't straight. And that's where the Audis will be unwilling to yield entry, apex, or the exit to the much feistier and faster Nissans. In the past, Craig, we've seen both classes struggle with the camber change on the exit of Turn 5, and I'm expecting that outside wall to collect a few more paint jobs today as well.
Yeah, just remember the old joke that Julian Palmer said, you've got the alert on a street circuit, and that is the case around here. Let's look at the championship standings, though, because... well, we do have numbers, but we will run them down at the moment. It will be Eitel Sentes Galindo leading them off the way. That number 2 is Seamus Power sitting there on 101. Farron Grau will be in 3rd. Then Martin Krajcik is 4th. Aaron Humphrey will be 5th. Eric Antilli 6th. Brendan Lim 7th. Michael DeTurek 8th. Fabian Youngblood 9th. And Jason Clapper 10th. That is the numbers, and you can just see how close it is. The GTOs, I think it's the same.
It is the same, but that being said, it's actually a very tight fight up at the top with Villi Rolla leading the standings. Ove Trangrade there in 2nd position as that number 2, only 3 points back. That's a very, very tight fight for Villi Rolla and Ove Trangrade. Arturas Kundalis is 24 points back, and that number 4 Yuko Leskola. He's about a 1 full win behind Villirola, and this is before we've had any of our drop weeks factored in. So Yuko not looking like he's going to be on for another championship this season. Javier Del Olmo, they're in 5th position, with 6 being Doug Cloud and Ian Haycox in 7th, only 3 points back. We got Tim Kennedy in 8th position. He's been a second split top runner. That's why he's so high up in the point standings. 9th is Hugh Haycox and Yoni Hagner 10th.
Yeah, those second splits, we don't talk a lot about them, but they do give the points. And this is the race details. It is still a 40-minute race, and of course it is those open setups then. Even though they are going to be trading paint with the wall, there is no spare car around here. Drive-through penalty at 17, incidents and disqualification at 25. It is your normal. I always say never. You could see somebody taking a drive-through here because the hard hits on these walls will give you a 2x, if anything. So you've got to be careful. Qualifying is on at the moment, and you start to see as the cars go through. This is what Adam was talking about. These Audis, they're having a great time out there with these track conditions, and it's just looking so fun to drive around here.
Absolutely. It's a blast to drive around here. You really get to put the pedal to the metal there. As you can see, our weather, it's quite toasty out there. Well, I'd say quite toasty. It's not actually too bad out there. 74 degrees Fahrenheit on in the air, 81 on the track. That's a little warmer than California is this year particularly, but over the average of the years, this is a pretty decent temperature. But west about 10 kilometers per hour out of the west is the wind, so stuff that will possibly affect the Nissans when they come down this long Sunset Straight.
Yeah, this long straight here, as you start to see, we have one of the drivers just coming by on there. It is a tough track going by, and just heavy braking here. The wind is going to play factor as you start to see the time. 116.151, and there's the delta on the GTPs. That's not a big difference in a 40-minute track race. Sorry, it's going to be tough to really get by these cars. We talk about the multi-class being tough. For me, when I look at multi-class around here, turn 4, turn 5, that is basically the tough corners. If you're going to get stuck behind a car, you don't want to be stuck there.
No, absolutely not. And quite frankly, through the entire fountain section, actually after turn 1 all the way through turn 5, the Nissans can lose 2.5 seconds in that sector alone. Now, when they get to turn 10 to the end of the lap, well, turn 9 to the end of the lap, it's actually fairly easy to get past Audis around the outside of 10 and 11. Or around the outside of 10, rather, and 11 being the hairpin. You have to stay behind, but the Nissans do not get a good run out of the final chicane, so the final hairpin, rather. So that's why we see the Audis get a little slowed up there.
Yeah, see Luca Leskola just having his time in the pole. Alex Ott is now coming by, comes in to the Firestone turn, and then the Indy left. This is the tricky hairpin. Hairpins are very tricky for a lot of these cars. For this car, it's going to be tough. I mean, I would love to say that's picture perfect. I don't even know myself what picture perfect is. Alex Ott's going to cross the line, though. Is he going to try and make his claim? Well, that looks to me like it should be pole, but it also looks like that's an off-track, apparently, so he will not go any better. You start to see more names going in. Look at Spickett, though. Jack Spickett has done fantastic the last few weeks. He really has announced himself as a new talent in the Camel.
It's absolutely fantastic to see these drivers come up and start challenging for top 5s for the wins. Ove Trangrade is one of those drivers. Was a top 10 driver a couple of seasons ago, a couple of years ago. Oh, takes it too deep this time around. Commentator's curse. Sorry, Ove.
Just remember, knock on wood. If there's no wood, knock on your forehead. You've got to do it. You cannot jinx them. There's a minute left in qualifying. Is there anybody still out there? Well, we do see a couple more, but it looks like that could be all it is. We haven't talked a lot about these GTPs. Molitor won't get a lap here, but just look what they've got to deal with if they come through these corners. Neil Kemp is the last man that has a chance to make a lap here. I don't think he's going to be doing it. I think that is going to be all she wrote. Now, there's 30 seconds left. So let's look. Riley Thompson, though, does take pole position. 108.873. Great lap time. Alexander Van der Sant will be P2. And look how close it is between him and Farron Grau, who's in P3. Laus Olsen will be 4th position. And Andrew Medell will take 5th in the grid. Fabian Youngblood will be joining him in 6th position. Aaron Humphrey will take 7th. And then it's Brendan Lim in 8th position before Aitor Sintes Galindo in 9th position. That's a little bit of a surprise. Richard Holt will be 10th. As we finish the first row into the second page, Daniel Gomez will be 11th. Martin Kraytrick will take 12th. Eric Intilli, 13th. Jack Wells, 14th. Robert Plumley will be 15th, hoping to avenge what happened earlier today. Hamilton Barrow-Rees will be 16th. And then you see those non-qualifiers, Brian Molitor, Jason Clapper, and Carlos Fonseca.
Then we got Yuko Leskala taking pole position in the Audis with Villi Rolla next to him. Alex Ott is going to line up in 3rd. A great qualifying for him with JD Rodriguez in 4th. Jack David Spickett, another top 5 qualifying for him. That's 2 in a row with Noel Lundberg in 6th position. Javier Omo back down in 7th position. Not a great qualifying for him or Andreas Schuster in 8th. Then we got Joran Van Hixie in 9th position with Ove Trengerade, unfortunately not making a second lap, qualifying in 10th. Arumas Zunkelis is going to round out in 11th with Ian Haycox in 12th position. Then we got Franco Scurry in 13th and Timothy Vaughn in 14th. Neil Kemp in 15th, rounding out your 15 Audis and your 19, I believe. 19 GTPs. And an interesting thing to note, Craig, I just saw some conversations going on in the chat for these racers. They're going to be single file through the hairpin, even if it's green, in both classes. So that agreement has been made.
Gentleman's agreement, and that's what you get in the small community like this. A little gentleman's agreement like that goes a long way. I want to give the strength of field, because we usually when these grid split, we always talk about how the top split probably is the top split for a reason. It is a strength of field overall of over 3.5k. 2 drivers are sub 3k in this. I'm not going to pick them out. I'm not going to pick anybody out. That just shows how strong field is today. In fact, the Audi strength of field is over 4,000 iRating. It could be, I think this might be one of the biggest strength of fields we've had for an Audi grid in a while.
4.2 in the Audis, which is impressive. And then Riley Thompson, my former teammate, up there in the 3.5k Nissan strength of field. So Riley trying to get his feet off the ground as a motorsports photographer, actually takes some pretty good photos and also some pretty good iRacing photos, believe it or not, out there jumping into the pole position here in the GTPs. So clearly has not forgotten how to drive these downforce machines.
No, almost 3 tenths faster than anybody else, but we know that it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Even though it's a 40-minute sprint, that means the fastest lap is not going to be imperative of skill. They're coming around the Indy left, into the hairpin they go. It's going to be single file, gentleman's agreement round there, and the green flag will come soon. Riley will have Alexander Van der Stant beside him, and Farron Grau will be right behind. They go off, and here comes Riley Thompson. We start 40 minutes at Long Beach. Is there going to be any move into that Toyota turn into the first corner? I cannot see it. It looks like they're all going to keep themselves stable. The GTOs, though, are about to come round themselves.
Absolutely. It's nose to tail for the GTOs as they had to remain single file through the hairpin while the green flag was flying. So unfortunately, not a lot of opportunities for moves here early on in the race for these Audis. Everyone's pretty clean through the fountain section for the GTPs. GTOs coming through as well.
Yep, everything is looking clean, and to be fair, that is a little bit of safety there. You don't want to go too aggressive early. Let's get these tyres warmed up. Let's get ourselves sorted. So you might not see a lot of position. Only one overtake made in the top 10 from the GTP, and there's Aitor Sintes Galindo getting the jump on Brendan Lim. As you see the GTOs, let's clear it there as well. But this is Klaus Olsen, and he is trying to catch up to Farron Grau. It's keeping very clean for the top 5 in the GTPs.
Bad news for Jack David Spickett. He unfortunately hit the tire barrier on the outside of 5. That trouble spot that I talked about at the beginning of the race already biting one of our top 5 runners in the GTOs. Look at this, Klaus Olsen. Not a great run off of the hairpin. Unfortunately, losing time to the drivers ahead. Farron Grau and Alexander Van der Stant. So the top 3 starting to break away in the GTOs here. And wow, Riley Thompson already out to a 1.3 second lead, as you said.
Yeah, on board with Klaus Olsen with the pucker cam. Somebody in the wall, almost in the wall. That looked like it was Van der Stant. It was. I think he got away with that one. I'm pretty sure he just avoided it. It was mainly just due to that overtake by Farron Grau. That's an aggressive move, full stop, into that corner. We have seen it in the real world where it cannot pay off. But Rao has got that made, and at the end of the day, Adam knows better than I do, as a mistake from Van der Stant now. It's all about trust, and it's all about discipline and respect in the series.
A little bit of bend there on the rear wing of Van der Stant. No surprise there. Those rear wings can actually scrape the outside wall pretty easily, even if you don't make other contact or wheel contact with the outside wall. But it's absolutely time for respect here for all these drivers. They need to get their feet under them, get these tires warm. By the end of this lap, the tires should be fully up to temperature, and then you'll start to see some battling, especially from 5th on back.
Yeah, you can start to see in that hairpin just how tough it is and how tight they have to go. Behind Lars Olsen, Andrew McDowell had a little bit of a moment getting on the throttle, so he's going to be losing out, and that gives Lars a little bit of breathing space as they head down into the first turn. You'll start to see what we're talking about.
Sorry, Craig. Alex Ott has gone long. Alex Ott has gone long in the Audis. He was up in 4th position, just ahead of Jack David Spickett and Noah Lundberg. And he actually went long in turn 9 and slid off into the runoff area. He's now recovered, but he's back down in 13th position in the class.
All the way down. We're going to have a quick look at this as we see. Thankfully, with a street circuit, you do have these long runoffs, so you can see as he comes down Seaside Way, around he goes, and he will look for braking. It almost looks like he just... Oh, that was a lockup. Was that a touch of the wall there? It felt like it, because that was more than just something that would have been caused by braking with the way the car was working.
Now, the rear end came around on him a little bit there. It was under braking where the problem ended up happening. But he did tap the outside wall, but the car was already coming around on him when it happened. You'll see it right here. He gets on the brakes, and the rear end, you see it getting loose on him there. He swings it back to the other side, and it touches that outside wall just barely. And, yeah, so really tough stuff for him, unfortunately, outbraking himself into turn 9.
Well, here's the... visor says it all, but unfortunately we're not at a track with a corner called that, but still a wall almost awaited him. As you see the leaders there, Yuko Leskala with Ville Rula having their little battle. They've already pulled out a 2.5-second lead to the rest of the field, so we're not going to get that magical 5-car battle like we saw at Interlagos last week, but these two are still just going to give us a nice little treat. And you know that Yuko and Ville, they have a lot of respect for one another. They're not going to be doing anything crazy in these corners.
Yeah, and props to JD Rodriguez for hanging on about a 1.5 seconds, like you said, to Yuko and Ville. Ville and Yuko very comfortable around this track. That's another 3 seconds back to Noah Lundberg, who's holding up a bit of a train from himself in 4th position, all the way back to, I believe it's Arimas Zelinskis back in 9th position. So some pretty good fights throughout the field, but these fights are really going to be defined by how the GTPs start cutting through the field, and that's going to happen in about another lap or two's time.
Yeah, Riley Thompson's got 6 seconds away from Francisco Scurry, who had to take a pit stop for a little bit of damage, or maybe he didn't have the right setup on, so don't expect to see that yet. There he is, though, on his own. 3 seconds. You may see in a moment he'll come out this corner. Wait. There you can just see Fern Grau in the distance. That is how far ahead he is.
Big GTP wreck. We've got Molitor in the wall, Plumley as well as Jack Wells, the three of them wrecking. And a little bit of frustration there from Molitor backing back into the Plumley again.
Oh, that is not what you want to see. Let's just have a quick look at this right here. We're on board with Robert Plumley as they come around turn 1. Already a car in the wall, and Plumley's trying to avoid. He tried to go for the gap. He's got the gap. And
he didn't make contact. But then he gets run into by Molitor.
Yeah, let's just wait for this as well. There's the car spinning, and then at 27, and then what's on earth? Was that just not aware of the situation? And I think he's had another moment as he's just pulled off the car in damage. It's a bizarre moment there. Plumley doing exactly what he needed to do.
Yes, the wreck started with Molitor and Wells getting together. So just unfortunate for Plumley to get caught up in that as well. So just a tough break for those GTPs, but still decent battles going on throughout the field. We're looking at Aaron Humphrey right now, who's chasing down Fabian Jungluth and Andrew Medell for 5th position.
Yeah, and you start to see that the drivers will probably get to hit the traffic sooner rather than later, but this is the test for Aaron Humphrey and Fabian Jungluth. Can they get by? We're on the favorite camera of mine. I love this camera. Doug, if you hear me, I love this camera. It is the eye hole. Let's go through the keyhole and see. We're on board with Andrew Medell. He has to fight off Fabian Jungluth And with the gap he's doing, he's not doing a bad job, but he's also allowing Humphrey and Galindo to just get towed along with this. He doesn't want to be doing that too much. I say that. He's made a little bit of a mistake at Firestone. I think I might be cursing him.
Possibly, but Medell has, he's got Jungbluth breathing down his neck, and Jungbluth wants to be up there in the top 5. He knows that he's got pace like Laust Olsen, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make his way up there. We also have good battles throughout the GTOs as well, from Lundberg on back to Arenas Salinskas. As we said, here's another battle side by side between Jungbluth and Medell.
Side by side they go, the GTO just coming by, but Medell takes the inside very well, but a little tap there, and a big accident going in. 4 cars already hit because Vincent Galindo gets caught. 5 of them now as Richard Holt gets in it.
Heartbreaking stuff for those drivers. Oh my goodness!
Oh, what's on earth? And Holt goes flying. Now that had to be a mistake there. I would think that Humphrey was not aware of a car coming beside him there, but big time, and it was just a little tap. There was respect there given from Medell and Jungbluth, and I think what just happened was just a little bit of not knowing fully where it was, and then there goes the flying. Such a shame.
It really was a shame. Yeah, these GTPs, unfortunately, just not being super cautious when they're coming up on accidents. You know that the yellow flag's flying here in iRacing, so unfortunately for them, a lot of GTPs taking themselves out of this race by coming up on these incidents a little bit too quickly, I feel like.
And the lead GTOs just had to get around a Francisco Scurry who just had a mistake at the fountain, and hopefully none of those drivers getting caught up in that, as you see Jack Spickett trying to catch on to Noel Lundberg there. But that little moment with the lapped car in the wall would not have helped them. They've got another lap, maybe 2, before the GTP to come by. And then, of course, again, we talk about how it will affect positions in the faster class. We always forget to mention how they can affect the slower class.
Yeah, absolutely. The slower class usually has their battles broken up, and sometimes you can make picks, but it's not very easy to do. And I can report that Franco Scurry definitely has some technical issues with his car. He's having trouble getting it back to the pits. Finally takes a tow, but taking a look at our leaders in the Yuka Leskola and Billy Rolla, still in good position here. JD Rodriguez hanging on to the back under 1 second now. But our leaders of the GTPs are also within traffic as well. Riley Thompson's all the way up to Ian Haycock's in 11th position.
Yeah, he's done really well. He's not been held up too much, where the rest of the drivers as well, Grau and Van der Sant, they may have to deal with that. Remember, Van der Sant's got a little bit of wing damage, so we'll get to see him shortly. But look at what Thompson's got to do. He's getting absolutely held up. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars there. Trengere, Salinskas, Van Hixie, and I believe, who's that last car with them as well? It's Schuster. That's going to be really tough to get by all of them.
Yeah, and remember, Riley Thompson was a top 5 challenger in the GTOs when he started here in the Camel GT series, so he's driven these cars a lot. He knows what they're like around this track, so very patient, very decisive, though, trying to make his way through this field, and you can see how cautious he is. He didn't spool up the turbo trying to get off that corner quickly, just took it very cautiously, let the Audis get off the corner as quickly as they could, and then pulls out around them, and he's safely through. Now this is where things get challenging, a little bit deep for Riley there, so he's not going to try and go around the outside here of Javier Del Olmo. He's going to wait until Del Olmo gets through the corner, because the Audis are actually faster out of the hairpin. There goes Del Olmo with that 4-wheel drive, and then the turbo kicks in for the Nissan, and he streaks by.
Yeah, this is one of those things I always feel people, if they're doing multi-class racing, should have a go at. Have a go at both classes or all the classes in the multi-class series, so you get an idea of what to expect full stop. It's how I learned my craft when it came to doing multi-class racing. If you do that, you get a good idea. And of course, right now, Thompson is getting a good idea of what's happening in front. Lundberg holding off Jack Spickett there. I thought one of them hit the wall, but I think they just avoided it. Around they go through turn 5, and down they go. It'll be the Tekak turn into turn 6. Can he make this? He tries a bit of a hold up there. Riley is losing a bit of time to this, though, but he's still got a 3-second lead over Farron Grau.
Yeah, and Riley was trying to signal to Lundberg that he wanted to take the inside, but Lundberg decided to take the apex anyway, and so Riley had enough room, had enough time, had enough ability to not make any sort of contact there. So Farron Grau Now we see him in second position. He's now caught up behind Javier Del Olmo. He's not going to be able to make his way around as Lundberg just got passed by Jack David Spickett. Spickett back up into the fourth position now.
Yeah, Spickett making that fourth position. I think using a little bit of the GTP to get around, and that did help him. Now, Ferenc Grau will be behind, as you see on the wing camera. Ferenc Grau will be able to make both of these positions. I'm not sure. Lundberg wants to make this as well. That's going to hold up here. Almost going free wide. We are going free wide for a very short moment. And Ferenc Grau has a very tight corner, which does hold up Lundberg, but able to get around it. This is the bookmarking effect in place. Now, Ferenc Grau has clean air, whereas Van der Sant is going to be losing time stuck behind 3 GTOs.
Absolutely. A little bit of contact there with the outside wall from, I believe that was Lundberg there, making contact with the outside wall. So Jack David Spickett right now just clinging to the back there of Lundberg. It's so tight between these drivers right now for that position. And here comes Van der Sant trying to cut his way through. He's not going to want to wait for much longer.
He's not going to wait that much longer. Remember, he does have that little bit of aero damage, so it will affect him slightly, but not a lot when he gets the power and the turbo down. You see behind him as well, that's Laus Olsen having his way through the traffic. It has bunched up the traffic in some respects, but at the same time, it has also just held up a lot of the drivers. And Aitor Sintez Galindo as well is looking at that in the background. He just had a moment on the radio, I think just a traffic issue, but look at that line of traffic. You would not realize that there are 2 classes having a battle right now, such is the nature of Long Beach.
Absolutely, Jack David Spickett right on the back of Noah Lundberg, but I don't think he's going to have the overspeed, and they're going to have Laus Olsen to the inside, so no attempt at a move there from Spickett, just a little look to the inside to try and say hello to Lundberg, try and wake him up a tiny bit. But yeah, these classes, both of them having a real hard time fighting their way through with all the traffic that they're dealing with right now. I can report Riley Thompson has a little bit of left rear wing damage as well now on his machine. And look at that, a little bit of outside contact with the wall from Spickett again.
Yeah, got to be careful. Spickett, the car is starting to look a little bit like a super speedway car. Just a little bit of damage, a little bit of duct tape needed everywhere. He's just hoping that this little car can continue, and he's doing really well. Aitor Sintez Galindo will come by. He may want to use that for a little bit of slipstream to help, because he's lost a bit of time to Lundberg, and it does bring Del Olmo into the fray. At the moment, nothing to go. A little update though, we were talking about Riley Thompson, nice to see him back. He's only ever had 1 entry in the GTP. He's had 65 entries in the GTO. He has 4 wins in that GTO. No surprise that 1 victory, unfortunately for Riley, was not a victory. Otherwise, we would have been talking about it. So this could be a 2nd race win for him in the GTP. Anything can happen. But just like right now, as Roller is continuing to battle Escalade, and JD Rodriguez will not go away.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that Riley's been focusing the last couple of years on being a high downforce machine specialist. So, oh, that was some contact there from, I believe, Martin Krejcik, who just hit the outside wall of 5. That's going to cause a little bit of slowdown for him as he's tucked in behind these 3. Oh, and he makes contact. It goes around.
He goes around.
That's
and that
Van der
Sant. It was Van der Sant going around. A little bit of a tap there. I think he just got caught out. Yeah, he just tapped the back of the Audi there. Let's just keep watching on the replay as they come around to take a turn that is 6 into 9. He gets on there properly. He's taken a lot of speed, not realizing the speed difference with the Audis. And unfortunately, that did spin around. He lost P3. He lost P4. He's now on his own in P5.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him that he just... I think it was actually a misshift from JD Rodriguez back there. So just a little bit of an unexpected moment. And the camber changes again because we're going on the streets, and American streets have camber in the center. They peak in the center of the track or the street rather. So where you see those yellow lines in the center of the track, it cambers out from either side. And so when you cross that camber and you're unloading the car's inside tires, you can actually spin around quite easily if you're not expecting the car ahead to slow down.
Yeah, also a staple in other countries, of course, that raised area. Even at Le Mans, you'll notice it if you drive Le Mans. Hence why you see a lot of sparking on the Mulsanne Straight, because they're taking those, remember, the camber for water purposes. For those not knowing, the more you know every day, and the more we know about right here is Laus Olsen. And I'm going to be knocking on wood here Adam, because he has not had the best of seasons, and I think his luck might be starting to turn. Knock on wood, knock on wood.
Yeah, sure, Greg. But here he is in third position, 9 seconds back of Farron Grau, who's in second. Riley Thompson, 1.5 ahead of Farron. Farron's actually been able to close the gap in the traffic to Riley Thompson, and Riley's damage might actually be affecting his straight line speed, so Farron actually might be in a decent position to challenge Riley for the win of this race if he can keep his car clean.
But I believe Farron has the exact same, almost identical damage to the back of his car. Look at it.
To the back, yes, but Riley's front left bumper is actually quite damaged right now. You can see it just now in that shot. You can see how it's picked up, so he's probably losing a good 5-7 miles an hour down the straights. Now, granted, Riley's quite good through the corners, but that's going to be affecting him severely, and it might even be affecting his drive off of the right-hand corners. So,
just got to quickly go over something. Sorry, Adam. JD Rodriguez has towed. Our P3 runner in the GTOs has towed. A mistake at turn 1. We're just going to have a quick watch of this, and it's a very interesting moment because the back just goes on him. You just saw it there. Watch it now, coming down. No assistance by anybody else. He comes down, just makes a corner. It looks to me like he's gone a bit too hot into the corner, and the back just goes around, and he hits the wall, and he decides, I'm in danger here, I'm going to tow.
Yeah, he took the corner just a little bit too deep, and unfortunately, it's quite a raised. It's an increasing, or rather, a decreasing radius curb there on the inside of turn 1, and so that's why you see that that happening there. So Jason Clapper here, look at him on a charge, trying to pass Brendan Lim right now, going around the outside here on Sunset Bend.
Yeah, on the outside of Sunset Bend, but we'll set him up for the inside if he wants it. Manages to cover the corner. Has he taken too much speed? He's got that car slowed down really well and gets that P6 just what he wants. 2.5 seconds up the road is Van der Sant. Remember, Van der Sant had that moment. Traffic probably not going to help Clapper, but Van der Sant is a man on a mission, still trying to get some of his positions back. He's got a very beaten up car himself. This might be a top 5 coming for Jason Clapper. We're going to have to keep our eyes on that as Clapper getting past the lead GTOs just there in the picture, as you just see as they go down. There's the lead GTOs, and Clapper getting past one of them, not past the other.
The people having the most fun today in either class is the battle for P3 in the GTOs right now. With Noel Lundberg, Jack David Spickett, and Javier Del Olmo all battling for the final step on the podium now that JD Rodriguez has taken that tow. And these guys have been duking it out since the drop of the green flag, and really, I think they're having the most fun out of everyone today.
They're having the most fun. It's weird talking about Javier Del Olmo having fun in P5. We're used to seeing him battling for, literally battling for first or second. But the way it's been with qualifying today and the way that races at Long Beach, he's having to try and pick his battles. We're only halfway through the race, so anything can still happen as they come around. And that is Andrew Medell coming out. He took his repairs. He still wants to try and get some points in this race. So he's going to be on the same lap as them. You start to see that may play a little bit of a factor if Medell goes for a move here or not. He will decide against it. Going to just slot in nicely, but it does hurt Del Olmo when it comes to traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. That caution from Medell, he probably could have sent it down the inside, but would have taken away the apex from Lindbergh. He wants to stay out of that battle, but by staying out of the battle ahead of him, he actually separates Del Olmo from the battle. So, there's no way to avoid being, not being part of the mess here. But Medell up the inside there of Jack David Spickett, but can't make it past Lundberg. So once again, in the middle of this battle as well, he's going to stick his nose up the inside of Lundberg, take away the apex exit a little bit from Lundberg. Lundberg trying to back off to get a good run off the corner, but he gets held up because he doesn't know where Medell's going. Here comes Spickett up the inside.
Yeah, Medell made a mistake going around turn 8, and Spickett's now going to try and get a little bit of overlap to go into Firestump turn. Turns in a bit too early and almost doesn't make it work. And Nürnberg has to hold off. He almost went into the wall. Spickett will get that P3. Javier Del Olmo's right behind. He's looking. Not that you can make a move at the hairpin. He was looking, though, and Lundberg will have to do it all over again. Such a shame there for Lundberg. A small mistake, and then at turn 9, taking it a little bit too wide.
The worst part about turn 11, the hairpin, is the fact that the closest you can get to the car ahead is about 0.2, 0.25 of a second. And that's not close enough to make a pass on the straightaway. That's not enough gap. Because even if you're bumper to bumper, that's the gap that's going to be coming off the corner. You have to hope that the guy ahead of you makes a misshift, or doesn't shift on time or hits the chip a little bit coming through the gears. Otherwise, there's not really a way to make a pass like that unless the driver makes a mistake through the hairpin. So one of the things I've seen drivers do over the years is focus entirely on corner exit out of the hairpin and not really worry too much about the rest of the lap, and they can manage to hold on to positions that way.
Yeah, you also don't want to try and park the car in the middle of the hairpin because people take it differently. It is a corner. It's one of those other 1,000-way corners that we talk about. You know, there's 1,000 different racing lines, and even with a hairpin like that, there is 1,000 different ways you can take it. These guys are going to be trying to take it their own little way this time by. I want to keep my eyes on Del Olmo because he catches up to Lundberg, then he gets to the hairpin and loses out. Oh. Lundberg deciding that he wants to do a little bit of drifting. It hasn't helped him, hasn't helped the tires, but it has helped Del Olmo as he looks to try and pounce on that mistake.
Now, in most classes, I would agree with you that it's a 1,000 way to take a corner. But in the Audis with the four-wheel drive, the steering lock is actually such that there's really only one line through at any sort of decent racing speed. So these drivers are at full opposite lock and can't do much about it to try and get off the corner. So it's all about how quickly you can unwind the wheel, get those tires straight, and launch off the corner.
You start to see now Javier Del Olmo trying to use as much of the curbs as he can. A little bit raised curbs there, helping them out. Of course, if you go too far inside, you will get a slowdown penalty. Doesn't want that as he comes over. That is Jack Wells coming by as well. And now we're on board. I love these on-board shots, and this is Javier Del Olmo. And you will start to see the gap is slowly losing there as he lost time with the GTPs. And all of a sudden, he's trying to hope for a moment.
And for those of you hoping Farron Grau would catch up to the back of Riley Thompson, gap is now 5.5 seconds. So unfortunately for Grau, he's lost a lot of time there to Riley in the traffic. So Del Olmo taking a little bit too deep through turn 11 through the hairpin. That's going to put him about 6/10, 7/10 behind Noah Lundberg. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make a pass on this lap.
No, and he won't even be able to make a pass next lap. It's going to have to be something he's going to have to try and... Well, if there's Fonseca right in front of him, he can't really do anything else about it. He's just going to have to rebuild and try and hope for something more sliding from Fonseca. That's a beautiful shot, though. I love that cockpit because you get to see everything in these cars in one camera. You almost get the full view, and especially with that type of camera, it really does make you feel like it is classic rally days. And of course, that Audi was a rally car, and you get to see exactly the fighting they have to do around this track.
Absolutely, taken to the dash cam now, and here's another shot back there hanging onto the roll bar. Great cameras from Dougie Beard here showing just how dynamic of a drive these Audis are. These things may be a little bit tighter than their rally compatriots, but that's because they're trying to make as much grip as possible on tarmac rather than on mixed surfaces. So this car built to a completely different spec, especially the roll cages being to an IMSA spec. There's a lot going on inside these Audis. It's different than their rally counterparts that make them a challenge to drive, but still really fun.
Yeah, this is why a lot of the drivers in iRacing love this car, just for the challenge. It's four-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive, it's four-wheel drive, and that does provide a lot of different styles around as Del Olmo gets by Robert Plumley with no issues there. But you start to see the more you get GTPs come by, the more issues.
Oh, who's this who's just had trouble? This is Andrew Medell, who I believe he went deep in turn 6. I know he spun himself around, unfortunately, in turn 6 here. So coming through the exit of the fountain section, he's going to head through turn 5. Going to take a little hot, go a little wide, clip the outside there, and now the car's got a little bit of left suspension damage, and that's going to lead to him spinning around here through turn 6. Here we go through turn 6. Car loads up on the outside, and it spins him around, and he ends up facing the wrong direction on a very interesting blind portion of the track curve.
Yeah, that is not where you want to be. Just anywhere here, you start to see why some of the drivers do decide to take toes on tracks like this due to the visibility issues, and of course sometimes the delayed yellow flags. Unfortunately for Medell is his day is going from bad to, I wouldn't say worse, it's just getting badder. One of those days where I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, I think is the attitude you would have in the driving seat right there. Daniel Gomez isn't disappointed, all mad at the moment. He's just trying to battle on. This is him with Martin Krajcik, and he is looking to get an opportunity. Krajcik goes a different line here, and that is a GTO. I wouldn't be surprised if that GTO, you would think normally it would hinder the first car through, but I think in that situation it hindered Daniel Gomez.
So Gomez unfortunately losing his opportunity to try and make a pass on Krajcik. Krajcik's been struggling a little bit today too. He was earlier in a battle with, I believe it was Aaron Humphrey early on in this race, but now in a battle with Gomez, as Gomez is trying to cling to the back of Krajcik, who seems to be struggling a little bit on corner entry, and that's not a good place to struggle when you're around Long Beach with the amount of 90-degree turns we have. Here's Laust Olsen in third position. He's caught up to the back of Farron Grau, who's been struggling ever since he fell off the back of Riley Thompson.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm not sure what happened to Farron Grau here, but of course Laust is having a little bit of issues. That's a lapped GTP and a lapped GTO. Going to be losing a lot of time here. In fact, all of a sudden, I think you've just put the commentator's skirt on him, because he's now lost a second and a half since we started talking, just due to what happened there. He will get that time back, of course, but it's going to be tough. Ian Haycock is right there. We haven't talked at all about Ian Haycock today. It's just been a quiet drive. Such is the nature of, we were talking about how strong the race was. This isn't the strongest race ever. The highest combined strength of field was 4256. The Audi is bigger than the Audi on its own is bigger than the combined, but we don't have any records of what the biggest Audi is. So at the moment, just take our word, it is still a very competitive split.
It's a very competitive split. We're seeing a lot of respect now that the GTPs have finished having their own incidents. So now we're seeing a lot of respect from the drivers, a lot of patience, and realistically, these drivers all just trying to survive at this point. We're under 12 minutes to go, closing in on 10 minutes to go. And this is really tough for Laust Olsen. He's stuck in the middle of a couple of fights. That is Andreas Schuster, who was going wide there in the Audis up ahead. So this is a tough place to be in right now for Laust Olsen. An absolute parking lot around turn 11.
But in front of him, you see Farron Grau. So he managed to catch up, but unfortunately, just due to the nature of those corners there for traffic, he was unable to capitalize on that. Farron Grau's going to get past both and all of those GTOs. Laust is going to have to get one of them, and he's going to have to hope for a miracle. There's a miracle, but he can't do anything. He's had to get the brakes on hard as Andreas Schuster makes a mistake into turn 1. Farron Grau gets held up as well in front of him by a lapped GTP himself. I say that it's Fabian Youngbluff. So Farron Grau is getting by him finally. That is going to be tough for Laust.
Krajcik's around. Martin Krajcik's gone around in turn 1.
Oh, that is not what you want to see. Go on, sorry.
He just went deep, unfortunately. Just missed the corner himself. We see this happen in IndyCar all the time.
Yeah, we've even seen it as well in the modern day IMSA nowadays. So unfortunately for Krajcik, loses a couple positions out there. Let's just get this replay here. He's going to overshoot turn 1. And there he goes. He tried to fight it. At that point, I think you've just got to give up and use the escape rope.
Yeah, we saw this happen in IndyCar at the last race that they were at before this Miami weekend. A couple of drivers just trying to save the car, trying to save it through the corner, but unfortunately unable to do so. Laust Olsen finally getting around Fabian Youngbluth and catching now up to the back of Farron Grau, who's been held up, but Laust can't get past Javier Del Olmo to try and make it by. Javier in his own fight with Noel Lundberg for that 5th position, and Jason Clapper's been spun around in turn 1. So just a lot of action going on right now.
A lot of action. Jason Clapper was doing so well. He made 10 positions and he's still waiting. He's taken a little bit of damage there. We may have to get a quick look at that. Here he goes. He's going to go for these moves. He's being a little bit aggressive. Indecisiveness on both ends there of the cars, and I believe he got tapped on the rear by another GTO, not aware of what was going on. And then he gets spun, and then he realizes where he is. He tries to pull the spin. Ever so, God, I just winced there for a moment. You just don't know what's going to happen. And then he did the reverse straight into the wall, and that's such a shame for Clapper. 10 spots he made up, and I think that could be his race done.
Absolutely. So now Laust Olsen's lost time to Heitor Sintes Galindo just due to the traffic, and they've just gotten past the battle for fourth in the GTOs as well. Noah Lundberg and Javier Del Olmo. Del Olmo not with a good run, but Santos Galindo, on the other hand, does have a good run on Laust. Is he going to try and make a move into turn one?
I think he's a bit too far behind. Let's just keep with this and see what happens. Is Santos Galindo going to look for this? He decides against it. And at the same time, right behind, Van der Sand is having to work his way around. Santos Galindo is now fighting. That is Brendan Lim having a moment, and that's not a good place to have a moment.
No, he manages to recover safely, but let's take a look at this. This all happens because of a traffic jam through the hairpin. There we see one of the other GTPs getting loose through the hairpin, and then the other GTO misshifts, and then Ian Haycock's unfortunately nowhere to go, gets into the back of Lim, and shovels him out of the way so we can keep going.
Martin Krajcik has come into the pits. I'm guessing that must be some damage that he is taking on at the moment, as we're still keeping eyes on this battle. Laust Olsen and now Aitor Sintez Galindo. Remember, it was Laust Olsen and Ferenc Grau, but the traffic has been so infrequent, sorry, I was going to say so far in coming, that he's not been able to catch up to Grau. Maybe now the traffic is a little bit clear. In fact, he hasn't got any traffic now for another 8 seconds. I think he might be able to catch up to Laus.
Absolutely. It's about 6 laps to go for all the drivers. Riley Thompson just got past Yuka Lessler and Billy Rolla, who are still only separated by half a second, but that is not a battle that's actually really formed between those two drivers. So that's why we haven't shown a lot of it. But Laust Olsen, now he's within fighting range of Ferenc Grau, so it's really just keeps ebbing back and forth for this battle for second between Ferenc Grau, Laust Olsen, and Aitor Sintez Galindo. And we've had a wreck between Carlos Fonseca and Robert Plumley in the background as well.
That's not good for Robert Plumley. His day was already bad. That is a definition of from bad to worse there, unfortunately, for Robert Plumley coming by there, letting the cars go by. Ferenc Grau trying to hold off Laust Olsen now, trying to make sure that he can take that damaged car away. That is a 9-second lead almost for Riley Thompson at the front. Actually 8 seconds, but it's 8 to 9 seconds. Really holding on there. He doesn't have to do a lot wrong now with 6 minutes to go. There he is at the moment. We're looking at that. Sintez Galindo gets held up at the hairpin. Here's little scrap for the moment with Olsen, and Grau is gone.
Oh, he misshifts.
Olsen, he's looking for a move right here. A misshift there by Ferenc Grau, and Laust Olsen and Ferenc Grau is going to go side by side into turn one, and the outside has been covered off there, and Laust Olsen gets that P2.
Yeah, great move from Laust after Ferenc Grau just misshifts into the higher gear. He's got a lot of front and nose damage at this point, does Grau, so that's probably why he was losing time. But Laust Olsen free and clear in second position. He does need to worry about Sintez Galindo, but Sintez Galindo being held up behind Carlos Fonseca through the slower sections of the course. So, is that Ferenc off? Ferenc Grau's off!
He hit the wall before braking. And got the car locked up there. He's going to be losing a few positions. He goes down to P5. Such a mistake. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a lot more damage because of that. Just because of the nature of what's happening. He is fighting the car here. A small mistake there. I think he just had a little lapse of concentration. That will put him out of the podium positions. And that battle he was having all of a sudden has gone. And that puts Aitor Sintez Galindo into the top 3 for the first time.
Sorry, that was Carlos Fonseca that Aitor just passed. Look at how damaged Carlos Fonseca's machine is. He is basically driving a soapbox machine at this point.
He has a meatball flag as well.
I would expect so. He's barely got any clearance on the left rear tire.
Yeah, that happened a couple laps ago. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it almost looks like he was a pinball. I just saw what happened just going back. That was the incident with Robert Plumley there. Robert Plumley went around and managed to catch up. So, yeah, Carlos Fonseca. Is that the definition of a pretzel?
I think so. Also, a nice battle for P4 in the GTOs between Lundberg and Del Olmo. Del Olmo took a look in turn 1. Lundberg said no, but he ended up making some outside contact with the tires through turn 2. Now as they go through 5, is Lundberg in a position to defend right here? They got Hamilton Barrera Ruiz, who's had a troublesome day himself in the GTPs. Javier Del Olmo, he's not really looking for the pass here. He's just trying to tell Hamilton to get out, to stay out of this battle, but he actually puts his nose in. This forces Lundberg to go defensive. Lundberg very shallow here through 8. fortunately able to hang on to it, but does Javier Olmo get a better run? He does. Here comes Jason Clapper saying, okay, Hamilton, if you're not going to take it, I will. He's able to get free and clear. Lundberg's hard on the brakes. Javier as well. Can Lundberg make the corner?
He can make the corner just in time. I know Olmo goes a little bit hard into the Indy left, and he's going to have to set himself up again. He's been trying the outside in, trying to get that to work, and his hairpins haven't been the best.
That was a good one.
Race, but he's been able to hold on to it. Great work there by Olmo. Great work by Lundberg. It's just a run though. He's getting closer. He's getting very closer, but he gets away from the slipstream. I don't think he wants to take this into turn one. He takes the outside line. Is he going to try and make a move around the outside? This is going to be very tough. Can he make this work? Javier Olmo around the outside, as clean as you like. What an overtake.
Beautiful move there. We've had two more Nissans take some damage. Carlos Fonseca's parked it. Brendan Lim is parked somewhere out on track, but that move from Javier Olmo around Lundberg, a great move in the final 3 minutes of this race now.
Yeah, and now he's just going to have to play get away. It may only be for P4, but it's still an important 4 championship point and also 4 pride. He's just going to have to hope now that the traffic goes in his favor. Hamilton Barrera-Reese has still not got past both of these drivers, which is, I don't know if that's a cause for concern or he's just giving the respect, but now he gets past Lundberg, and Del Olmo will be next up, and there is Eric Antilli there as well, another driver we haven't spoken about today. Such is the nature of the race, there is not a lot of time to talk about the drivers in lower positions that, again, you wouldn't expect, but yeah, they're still driving.
And these two drivers are not on the same lap as one another, so Eric Antilli trying to get himself by Barrera-Ruiz, rather, able to do so in that number 32 machine, but Eric's been struggling.
Yeah, Eric's been struggling, but that did hold up Lundberg, and he's lost a lot of time, and he's almost in danger of losing. Sorry, P5 is Andreas Schuster. Nove Trangere is currently right behind and almost catching up. You'll start to see it as they come around those corners. But this is almost going to be a 3-car battle for P5 in the last 2 minutes of the race. That is not something that you would want to see at this time of the race. Lundberg's going to have to try and just compose himself after all that escapade at the hairpin.
Absolutely. Andreas Schuster in that 6th position, and Nove Trangere, like you said, chasing him down. So if Lundberg is unable to compose himself, that's going to bring Schuster and Trangere back onto his rear bumper. Both of them taking very different lines, Trangere and Schuster, through turn 8. So it's no real surprise to see Schuster and Trangere battling each other out. This is going to be, I believe, they're going to have, looks like they're going to have another, at least 1 lap, if not 2. I believe it's going to be 2 laps for these guys to duke it out. Oh, look at that Schuster, a little bit too deep into 11, got a little bit opposite lock going into the corner, but Trangere unable to capitalize.
Yeah, and also that did hold up a GTP of Martin Kreitrig behind as he looked to try and get by. But that mistake, it is a momentum-based corner. If you can get on the throttle quickly enough, I think they will have another lap after this. And just look how that traffic affects Schuster. Trangere starts to bunch up a little bit more. Where is our leader, Riley Thompson? He's coming around and he will take the white flag. So these guys haven't got much time to get going. They may be in danger of only having 1 more lap. I think, though, they're going to be clear. I don't think Riley's going to get to them in time.
No, Riley should not get to them in time. But oh my goodness, Riley Thompson, that was a scary moment. Who was that parked on the street?
That was a combination of Andrew Medell and Jack Wells, and I don't know what happened there. Medell slid into the corner. I think Jack Wells decided to join him at the same time.
Well, fortunately for Riley, he was able to avoid that incident, but our leader almost got cut out in the last lap incident. We've seen this happen before. Riley able to break that particular curse, but he's still got half a lap to go to take the checkered flag.
Yeah, Riley Thompson, he's just got a few more corners to navigate, a few battles left. There's that little battle between Timothy Vaughan and Zelinkus, but because of this, it'll be their last lap, and I think Riley will get by. He doesn't need to make any aggressive moves here. He will now just have 2 more corners, technically 3 in Shoreline Drive. Has a little bit of a curve, but it's not an official corner. But for his second run, he gets spun around!
Lars Olsen!
He gets his time! He's going to go in reverse! Can Riley hold this? The gap is going to close! This could be a sprint to the line! Is there the respect? There's the respect from Lars Olsen! There's the respect from Lars Olsen!
Riley Thompson wins the race in reverse on the final lap. Oh my goodness.
I have done that before. I have
Okay.
done that before,
You
but
can-
nothing like that.
Yuko Leskala coming through the final turn now, coming home to win this race over Really Rolla, unable to mount a charge in the final laps. That's Yuko Leskala crossing the line now to win. He's going to slide his way right into the back of Riley Thompson. There's our two winners,
Ooh.
pirouetting in victory. Unbelievable stuff. Let's take a look at this replay, though.
Take a look at this replay as you just start to see. This is a little moment where the GTO not realizing just the speed difference, and Riley not aware of it. Riley just getting that. And instead of panicking, thinking, what do I do? Right, I'm in reverse. I'm just getting here. And I got to be honest, Lars Olsen had every choice to basically just go by that. Yes, the traffic didn't help him, but I think he realized the situation and he just held on. And I've got to applaud Lars there. But you know, even if that was his plan or not his plan, that is very sporting to just do what he did there.
Absolutely. He could have tried to bull his way through all those cars and take the win, but you take the risk of getting parked for a couple of weeks, and second place is great, and especially considering the fact that Riley's not in it for the championship this season. This was absolutely the right long-term call for Lars Olsen.
Well, we're going to take a break, and then we ourselves are going to hit the reverse button as we go back to watch the highlights. So come back after the break, and we will be here with the results and the interviews. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of the race, and it was a very entertaining finish to the race. So, first place gets Thompson Riley. As he's doing backwards, I'll do it backwards. He gets the victory away from Lars Olsen. It says it's half a second, but if you understand what you just saw, you know why it's that close. Aitor Sintez Galindo, though. 6 places made up there to get a P3, and then it's Alexander van der Sant in P4. Baron Grau will get P5. Daniel Gomez will be 6th. Jason Clapper makes up 11 places to 7th. Then Eric Antilli will get 8th. Jack Wells will get 9th. Brendan Lim will get 10th to round off the first page. And then we will get Robert Plumley, who will be 11th overall. Hamilton Barrera Ruiz will be 12th. Martin Krajcik will be 13th. All these guys, by the way, did have issues and had to take some repairs. Andrew Medell came back out 2 laps down. Carlos Fonseca, he retired the car after looking like a pretzel in 15th. Fabian Youngblood was 16th. Aaron Humphrey will be 17th. Richard Holt will be 18th. And Brian Molitor finishes 30 laps down in 19th.
And then we get the GTOs with Yuko Leskala taking a commanding victory over Villi Rolla after Rolla hung with him for the first 3/4 of the race. Unfortunately, not able to hang with him for the last quarter and not able to put up a charge. Jack David Spickett. We talked about him a couple times during this race, but he quietly snuck his way up to P3 after we stopped talking about him. So maybe we should talk about him less. I don't know. Javier Lomo up to 4th position from his 7th place start. So a great finish for him, with Noah Lundberg hanging on to 5th position, only up 1 spot. Andreas Schuster, a decent finish, up 2 spots himself, as well as Ove Trangrade up 2 spots, up to 7th position. Alex Ott, unfortunately, not a great race for him, down to 8th spot, with Joram van Hixie in at 9th, and Ian Haycox clinging to a top 10 today after having a lot of trouble with traffic. Timothy Vaughn in 11th, and Arimas Zelinskas finishing 1 lap down in 12th. Neil Kemp in 13th position, and then our non-finishers, JD Rodriguez 18 laps down, and Franco Scurry wrecking out very early.
Well, with us at the moment is our winner overall for the race. It's Riley Thompson. Now, before I say anything else about the race, Riley, talk us through that final 200 meters.
Apparently reverse gear is long enough in this thing to win you a race.
I mean, what was the thought process? Because for many drivers, the thought process there was, oh no, I've been spun. I've got to spin it around quick enough. Was it just instinct to get into reverse right away?
Yeah, I figured, it would be like a 5-point turn trying to get back around. And since, I was able to kind of get stopped in time where I was facing the wrong direction, it would just be quicker. And, all the traffic behind, I wouldn't be able to turn it around. So I'm like, you know what? It's a straight line to the finish from here. I should be able to hold on to it. And, throw it in reverse. And I really don't have any words for except just seeing 5-6 cars behind me piling in and getting flashed out. So.
Well, this is your first GTP win. Apparently, it's your 2nd race ever in the broadcast for the GTP. So I know you are a high downforce specialist. What made you decide to come out here for Long Beach today?
Finally back from school. That's been a big part of it. Haven't run doing the GTO as much because I just haven't had an 8-shifter, so it's a little bit more of a pain to try and drive it. But yeah, it's been having a lot of fun with the LMP2s and all, so I think it transferred over pretty well to this car.
Yeah, and the traffic as well. How was the traffic? Because I know it swings and roundabouts regardless of what track, but what multi-class. But of course, the traffic today not very helpful.
It wasn't terrible. There's a lot of times where you lose a lot of time, but it balances itself out pretty quickly. It helped a little bit when I had the wall going on the back stretch. I probably was losing like half a second a lap on the front stretch just from air because of it. So that was able to help a lot, just kind of equalizing it out.
Before we let you go for the evening, any shout-outs you'd like to get out?
Got to shout out Total Round for Racing. These guys are always the best, bunch of good friends, and it's amazing that we're still going. You guys for broadcasting this every time. It's always a pleasure to meet with you guys, especially after stuff like that happens. It's interesting to see everyone's take on it. And then the girlfriend, gotta thank her for being the good luck charm. Apparently, guess it worked out. So.
Well, that is a good luck charm for you, and that's a very well done, Riley, for victory. That was Riley Thompson, our winner in the GTPs. Adam has been trying to find the man who came P2 and had a very good view of that finish. It's Laus Olsson with Adam Lindgren.
Yeah, Laus, I'm not sure what you were thinking when you came up on Riley facing backwards trying to cross the line, but was it just risk mitigation because you knew that Riley isn't in the championship, or what was your decision thought process trying not to try and take that win right there at the end?
The problem was that there was a couple of other guys blocking the road, so I don't know if they were confused or didn't want to pass him, but I found the road blocked and didn't dare trying to take it 3 wide, so just had to wait patiently. So yeah, that was a great move from him, so nice save.
Well, it's been a bit of an up and down season for you over the course of this year, but talk to me about this race. It seemed like you had things pretty well under control over the course of the race, made a couple of passes on track. And I know this place is hard to pass around, but with the traffic and everything, how did it work out for you today?
Yeah, it pretty well. I only have had one issue in traffic, and that was actually me misjudging it. So my apologies to JD Rodriguez. I made a terrible dive bomb, and we nearly went off both. So, but otherwise, I kept my cool and stayed clear of trouble. Had one or two close misses with people blocking the road in front where I just could sneak by, but otherwise it was just trying to be patient and not losing too much to the front, to the guys in front. Varane, he got some damage, so that's why I could pass him in the end. Otherwise, I don't think I would have caught him, but that's how it goes.
Well, congratulations, Laust, on a P2, and we look forward to seeing you at Monza next time out. And yeah, anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
The community in general, a great bunch of guys, and you guys for the great broadcast you always make. So, yeah.
All right, Laust, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you there. That was Laust Olsen, P2 in the GTPs, and Craig is caught up with Aitor Sintes Galindo, who finished P3 in the GTPs as well.
Yeah, we've had 1 and 2. Let's have P3. It's Aitor Sintes Galindo, who made up 6 places in the race. Aitor, you've got to feel very happy with that drive after making 6 positions.
Well, let's say I had a miracle in the race today. It was when I had the incident with Andy and Fabian and everything, and I went straight through them. The netcode forgave me a lot there. My car was intact after that. It was like I'm a believer. But anyways, yeah, it was eventful. Well, expected of Long Beach, of course. But yeah, very happy with the result. A podium finish, 20 points, championship getting better and better. So yeah, very good week this week.
Yeah, explain the challenge of overtaking around Long Beach. Not the multi-class, not the lap cars, but especially because you made 6 positions. Apart from Jason Clappy, you made up more positions than anybody else. What is the game plan, the strategy, when trying to make overtakes like that around this track?
Well, paraphrasing a famous meme, that's the neat part. You don't. You basically have to survive every corner, every lap, and everything. It's basically I didn't overtake anybody. Basically everybody had problems. Oops. Yeah, I apologize for Audi was there because of that punt. But I mean. Yeah, I didn't overtake anybody in this race. I basically survived. I had survived all the attrition, and basically that's how it works. I didn't have any quick setup. Basically, as safe as I could give, no trouble with the car, and that's how I make it this week.
So next week it's Monza without the first chicane. What are you anticipating for that race? Because it's going to be a very high-speed race.
Well, it's a good question. Sometimes, most of the time, whenever we go to Monza, it's usually chaos, but not in a good way because the chicanes are very difficult to navigate with the Nissan, and sometimes. It's very difficult. So I think so far, from all the times I've been there, there's been much more, much less, let's say, driving standards than the usual stuff. Hopefully, it's not the case in the next week because I mean we're having a lot of new people. Hopefully, they'll behave each other. So yeah, looking forward to next week. Will be rather easy to pass, not like Long Beach or the other one. I don't remember now, but yeah, looking forward to next week.
And before we let you go for the evening, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Absolutely. Thanks you guys for the broadcast as usual. Family and friends are watching. Camel community and my teammate for run. So yeah, thanks guys. See you next week at Monza.
Well, that was Aitor Sintes Galindo, our P3 driver, and that will do it for the day. So I'd like to give a thanks to the team today, Adam, Rob, and Dougie. And to make sure you check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you do not miss a moment here on GSRC. And of course, remember, check out Jude Lalonde there. Next race, next week, as I was saying, is Monza, Autodromo Nazionale Monza. It's Saturday, May 13th, 1 p.m. Eastern. It is an hour-long race. And do not forget to check out all of our other broadcasts that are listed on the screen. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.